Students, you're required to prepare a balance sheet for the following information as per provision of Companies Act 2013 in Schedule 3. Equity share capital, preliminary expenses, discount on issue of share, goodwill, 10% debentures, stock in trade, loose tools, bills receivables, cash at bank, motor vehicle, provision for taxation. So students, from this question, first and foremost, we need to prepare the balance sheet as per the provisions of the Companies Act 2013. Equity share capital will be shown under the heading Share Capital. Preliminary expenses. This is quite different with that of what we have worked out in the previous video. If you go through the question, students, nowhere there is a mentioning about reserves and surplus. So what do we do now? Over here, in such a situation, when there is no reserves and surplus mentioned in the question, we will treat this preliminary expense as an expense under the head Other Non-Current Assets in the balance sheet. Now, in whatever the situation, if reserves and surplus is being given, then from the surplus, as per the accounting standard 26, we are going to write off this particular expenses. However, while working out the solution, I will show you on how to present the preliminary expenses. Discount on issue of share. Now, any shares, like we know that shares can be issued at whatever the shares may be, equity shares, preference shares, okay, these shares can be issued at par, premium and at a discount. When the shares are being issued at a premium, it is a benefit, it's a capital gain. But here, the share is being issued at a discount. So discount means it is a capital loss. That means in near future, the company has to write off the discount. Hence, discount on issue of shares will be shown under the head Other Non-Current Assets. So we have two items under the heading Other Non-Current Assets. One is the preliminary expense and two, it is the discount on issue of shares. Coming to the next one, goodwill. Goodwill is treated as an intangible asset. So under the heading fixed assets, we have intangible assets. There we will show the goodwill value. 10% debentures, these are long-term borrowings. Stock in trade, loose tools. Both we need to treat this as inventories, for which we need to prepare note to accounts. Bills receivables are treated as trade receivables. So we are going to write it under the heading trade receivables. Motor vehicle is treated as a tangible asset. Provision for taxation is treated under the heading short-term provisions. Students, let's prepare the solution now. Balance sheet as there is nothing mentioning about the year and the date, so just we will leave it blank. So let's write the items under the balance sheet. So to begin with, first and foremost, we have the first category, equity and liabilities. So under this, the first one is the shareholders funds, subhead share capital. Students, in the question they have only mentioned about the equity share capital, which is 9,56,000. So let's write it directly, 9,56,000. So I will just mention in the bracket as equity share capital. So there is just one item, I am not preparing the note to accounts. The next information is with respect to reserves and surplus. There is no information, so leave it blank. Followed by the second head, what we call it as non-current liabilities. we have long-term borrowings, that is 10% debentures. So write it as long-term borrowings, that is 10% debentures amounting to rupees 2 lakh. The next information is with respect to the provision for taxation. So this is written under the heading current liabilities. Short-term provisions. This is for provision for taxation, amount rupees 16,000. So that's it with equity and liability, students. Now it's time for us to do the total. 9,56,000 plus 2 lakh plus 16,000. The total is 11,72,000. Now we have to prepare the second part of the balance sheet, that is assets. Under this, the first category is for non-current assets. Under this subhead fixed assets. Under this we have tangible assets. In the question there is mentioning about motor vehicle. Amount is rupees 4,75,000. I am not preparing note to accounts. The second one, intangible assets. So in the question they have mentioned about goodwill. Amount rupees 30,000. Next we have other non-current assets. For this, students, we need to prepare note to account. So write it as note number 1, other current assets. For this, the first one being preliminary expenses, that is 2,40,000. So preliminary expenses actually should be written off when there is reserves and surplus as per accounting standard 26. But in the question there is no mentioning about reserves and surplus. You can see we have left it blank. Hence, this will be treated under the heading other current assets. Other current assets will come under the major head, what we call it as non-current assets. So over there we are going to show this and going to write off in the near future. So the next item under other non-current assets is discount on issue of shares. Amount is rupees 20,000. Total being 2,60,000. Why discount on issue of shares here? Discount on issue of shares, it's a capital loss. Hence, this capital loss has to be written off again. Hence, this is being treated under the heading other current assets. So let's write it as note number 1, 2,60,000 for other non-current assets. Now in the question there is mentioning about loose tools and stock in trade, which will come under the heading current assets. Over here we have inventories. So for this we will prepare note number 2, inventories for stock in trade, 1,40,000. Loose tools, 12,000. So 1,52,000. Note number 2 for inventories. Next we have trade receivables. Trade receivables are being mentioned as bills receivables in the question, which is 1,20,000. And the last one being cash and cash equivalents. So cash at bank is 1,35,000. So this is cash at bank. This is bills receivables. So now it's time for us to prepare the total. Remember students, the total of equity and liability should be equal with that of the assets. So start adding 4,75,000 plus 30,000 plus 2,60,000 plus 1,52,000 plus 1,20,000 plus 1,35,000. The total has to be 11,72,000. So with this we'll finish the preparation of the solution. Thank you.